Hello, I'm Father Casmer Nema, SVD of Radio Veritas Asia. Welcome to this special program, Voice of Asian Bishops. It is a privilege and honor today to have with us the Most Reverend Bishop Allwyn D'Silva, Auxiliary Bishop of Archdiocese Mumbai and Chairman of FABC Office of Human Development. Bishop D'Silva, welcome.
Bishop Allwyn D'Silva was born in Mumbai on April 20, 1948. He completed his priestly formation at St. Pius X College under the Archdiocese of Bombay and was ordained a priest on April 19, 1975. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Political and Economic Sciences from Delhi University and a Master's degree in Political Science from the University of Mumbai. Throughout his priestly ministry from 1975 to 2016, Bishop D'Silva served in various parishes and held numerous leadership roles within the Archdiocese of Bombay. He was a long-standing member of the Pastoral Council, Priests' Council, and the Commission for Justice and Peace. In addition to his pastoral and social ministries, he was a dedicated educator, serving as a visiting professor at St. Pius X College, Mumbai, where he taught for over 35 years. On December 20, 2016, Pope Francis appointed him Auxiliary Bishop of Bombay, assigning him the titular See of Dura. At the time of his appointment, he was serving as Episcopal Vicar and Secretary of the FABC Climate Change Desk. After nearly 5 decades of faithful service to the Church and society, Bishop Allwyn D'Silva retired from active episcopal duties on May 13, 2023, and was designated Auxiliary Bishop Emeritus of Bombay. Although retired from formal responsibilities, Bishop D'Silva continues to contribute to the Church through various leadership and advisory roles, serving as Bishop in charge of the Thane, Raigad, and Navi Mumbai deaneries, Chairman of the Commission for Ecology under the Conference of Catholic Bishops of India, Chairman of Prison Ministry India in Mumbai, and remaining actively involved with the Climate Change Desk of the Federation of Asian Bishops' Conferences, or FABC. Bishop Allwyn D'Silva remains an influential voice in pastoral care, ecological justice, and prison ministry, both in India and across Asia.
Let's start with this question, Bishop. You've been serving as Auxiliary Bishop of Archdiocese of Mumbai for several years. Can you give us a general picture of your diocese?
The Archdiocese of Bombay is a very vibrant diocese. It is one of the biggest dioceses in India. We have about 500 priests, both diocesan and religious, and a number of sisters. So the diocese is very vibrant, and people also are deeply in love with the Lord. At least 80 to 85% of the Catholics, they attend Mass on Sundays and also on weekdays. So the faith of the people is very deep, and there are a lot of activities in the Archdiocese. We have the Family Commission, the Youth Commission, the Catechetics Commission, and many other commissions, the Family Commission. And now we have started also the Office for Environment. So the diocese is vibrant and full of life. And of course, there are also difficulties in the Archdiocese. But normally, the diocese is active, the parishes are active, and people are closely knit to each other, though there are sometimes divisions. And the Catholic Church is really progressing in our Archdiocese of Bombay.
In line with your service, particular with the Office of Environment, your friend, your colleagues have called you a green bishop. Tell us, what does it mean?
You know, right from 1990, I got involved with the World Council of Churches, and they had a program. Actually, the other churches were the first to initiate the ecology and the environment and the climate crisis. So from that time onwards, I got involved in this whole climate crisis. And right through the years, I have a liking or a fondness for the environment. And it especially I got motivated after the Laudato Si encyclical of Pope Francis, which had a great impact on me. And I remember I had gone to Germany and there was a meeting in Bonn. And there even the people who had no faith, they were impressed by the encyclical of Laudato Si of Pope Francis. And the thoughts and the words inspired me. And so this love for environment, this care for creation began to grow in me. And since I was in charge of the Justice and Peace Commission in our Archdiocese, I felt that we should also include environment in this commission. And therefore later on, we had a separate office for environment in our Archdiocese. Actually, it was the first in India. And also the Catholic Bishops' Conference of India they thought of having a commission for ecology. And so people felt that, I really loved creation, I care for creation, I wanted other people also to care for creation. And that is why maybe they have called me the Green Bishop.
Talking about that ecological involvement in your ministry, Bishop, you have famous statement. It says that the voice of the people is the voice of God. To me, this is considered as ecological principle in your ministry. Tell us more about this principle.
Yeah, I teach in the seminary. I'm a visiting professor. And one of my subjects is faith linked with justice. And one of the topics is precisely the signs of the times. And I explained to the seminarians, what is the meaning of signs of the times. And from there, I got the idea, or I was struck by this statement: a voice of the people is the voice of God. I often tell them that it is true that we listen to scriptures. On one hand, we have the Bible, and in the other hand, we have the newspapers, or what is happening in the world. Now, I feel just as we listen to God in the Bible, in the scripture, we also listen to God when we see the events around us. And the events around us tell us what God is wanting of us. Therefore, the voice of the people is the voice of God. And I think it's very much now connected with the Synod. Pope Francis, or the synodal way, is to listen. And listening is precisely what is the will of God. To listen to people, to listen to God, to listen to creation, to the groaning of people. And therefore the voice of the people, the voice of nature, is the voice of God.
Speaking about that, the voice of people is the voice of God. Pope Francis in Laudato Si, he talks about throwaway culture. Do you think this culture has emerged in India or in your diocese in particular, and how the church has responded to it?
The thinking of the world, the culture of society, in a way affects the church, because the church is part of society. The church is part of this modern world. And even some years ago, I was also part of the throwaway culture. I often tell people in my first 6 or 7 years, I had about 4 or 5 mobiles. I had a mobile, but then it was not, I wanted a better mobile, and then after that I wanted a better mobile. And therefore we throw out the old mobiles. And this in a way affects our life. It affects families. It affects marriages. Okay, we have my husband, we have my wife. Therefore, now it's time to throw away. So this throwaway culture has, in a way, is inserting itself in our whole life. And therefore, I think it's very important for the church to counter this culture, to have a counter culture from the throwaway sort of culture, to preserve what can be preserved, to reuse what can be reused, to be satisfied with what we have and not want more and more and more. This throwaway culture is because also of our greed. We want something more from in our lives. And I think Pope Francis has mentioned it, that we want because our hearts are empty. We want to fill our hearts with something and some material goods. So we buy and we buy and we buy so that we can get satisfied. But we know that we don't get satisfied with filling our hearts with all material things. I think the heart has to be filled with something much more higher than material things.
Still in line with that Pope Francis exhortation in Laudate Deum, we can consider as a second volume of Laudato Si, in which Pope Francis talked particularly about the climate crisis. My question is, Bishop, how do you, as a chairman of the Office of Human Development, FABC, do you have common programs to overcome this phenomenon of climate crisis in Asia in particular?
I've been connected with the Office for Human Development for a past few years. I was formerly the secretary of the Office for Human Development when I was only a priest. And then when I became a bishop, I became the chairperson of the Office of Human Development. There have been 2 or 3 objectives of the Office for Human Development. I feel in Asia, the majority of the people are not aware of this crisis. And so it is important that the Office for Human Development, which is part of the FABC, we make people more and more aware. So that is why we have a number of workshops. We have had workshops for bishops, we have had workshops for women, sort of climate change and women. We had had workshops for business people, climate change and business. We have had workshops for formators in the seminary, how to bring in this topic in our seminary curriculum. And therefore, the first point that I've been trying to do is to make the church in Asia, not only the church, but also the whole of Asia, aware of this problem, about the climate crisis. Though I don't think we are fully aware, and the majority of the people. Few people are aware, like in many dioceses in Asia, they have now this Ecology Commission or the Office for Environment. So the first thing is to make the church aware. Secondly, I have, or the FABC, the Office for Human Development, we have joined the Laudato Si Action platform. It is a wing of the Dicastery for Integral Human Development in the Vatican. And here we try to invite dioceses to take concrete action, how to make the diocese green, how to to take concrete action so that the more and more dioceses can partake and can become green. So one is the awareness, and secondly also the action plan to take concrete steps to make the diocese green.
I believe you are familiar with the triple dialogue principle of FABC. Dialogue with culture, dialogue with the poor, and dialogue with religion. In line with your involvement or ministry for more than 2 decades, I think, with the poor people, can you tell us the process, the result of this dialogue with the marginalized people?
Now the FABC has come in with more dialogues. There is the dialogue with creation. So that also is important. But I will talk to you about dialogue with the poor. If we have a certain stages in our dialogue with the poor. One is, you may call it now listening, or you may call it awareness, where we listen to the people and where we make them aware. So that is the first step. Secondly, after making people aware and sort of listening to them, we don't take action. We want the people to take action. And therefore, there's mass organization. So it's not individuals who will take action, but there's a mass organization, getting people together, and they have to solve their own problems. And finally, there's the mass action. So it's not individuals, or I do some action, or you do some action. No, the people have to come together and do some action. So this is the dialogue that we have with the people, especially with the poor. Awareness or listening, mass organization, getting people together. And once they come together, we also have mass action. So this is the way I've been doing it, and I've been working for 21 years in the slums of Mumbai. So this is the process that we undertake in our action with the poor.
Tell us your vocation and what are the major challenges you ever faced in your life as priest and of course as a bishop.
Yeah, as a priest, this vocation or the call to work with the poor and to defend their rights is not often understood by people. It's not often understood by also my fellow priests. Because I remember a funny incident when we were having a priest gathering, maybe in 1980s. And we were asking the church in the Archdiocese of Bombay to get involved with the poor. And then one priest stood up and said, no, priests and sisters should not get involved with the poor, because then they get married. So that was the understanding that if you get involved with the poor, then your vocation is in danger. But I think many of us who were working for the poor and defending their rights are still priests and are still working for the Lord. And as a bishop, I took it as one more chance to be with the people. Because when I go and visit my parishes, we are allotted a certain zone. After meeting the priests, I go and visit the sick in that parish. 4 or 5 families go and visit, and the sick are very happy that a bishop has come to visit them. So I continue my ministry now with the poor, even as a bishop.
You have chosen Episcopal motto, which is to me is very interesting, care for creation. If I may ask first question, what is the biblical foundation of this Episcopal motto, Bishop, and how the motto has guided and inspired your ministry?
Yeah, I think I was appointed bishop when I was deeply involved in the environmental issues. So it was at that time that when I was, I think I was the head of the Office for of Environment, the secretary also of the Office for Human Development and Climate Change. It was at that time that I was consecrated a bishop. And therefore, I felt that my motto should be part of my life. Not take something else which I'm distant from. But since that was my way of life, taking care of creation, I took this motto. And I think St. Francis of Assisi, in a way, inspired me when he spoke about the canticle of creation. When he called everybody his brothers and sisters, the sun and the moon and the animals, he called them brothers and sisters. And so it is like one great family, that we are one great family, and therefore creation is one part of this family which is neglected. And therefore we need to take care of creation. And that was my motto in this care for creation.
Thank you, Bishop. We have to end here our conversation today. I am Father Casmerema Esfide of Radio Veritas Asia. Thanks for watching. See you next time for more interesting conversations with Asian bishops. Bye for now.